Hello, I've got a DaVinci Resolve tip for you today. If you're into speed ramping and you want motion blur, you may not be getting the motion blur that you deserve, and I'm going to explain why. Over here in the center, I've got two clips. They are virtually identical, and I've added motion blur to both of these clips. So this is a little speed ramp. We would expect and want to have some motion blur in the middle of it when it's moving fast. And so let me go ahead and move forward here over these cars. And you can see those cars are very sharp and easy to see that there's no motion blur on this clip. I'm going to turn this clip off and we're going to look at the clip below it. And there it is. I see tons of motion blur. Here's the weird thing. I processed these identical for motion blur, but one of them has it and one of them doesn't. Why is that? Let me first take you to the color page. I have the studio version. This is going to be different for the free users, but the tip I'm about to give you is the same. I've added motion blur to both of these clips. Here's the one clip and here's the other clip. Motion blur is added. I've changed it to better. I've changed it to 100%. Back to the edit page. Same motion blur on both clip. Look at the clip name. The bottom one says render. That's the one that has motion blur. So let me explain why. Well, here's the tip. Cut to the chase. If you want motion blur to be added correctly in DaVinci, you must create a brand new clip with all of your features baked in. You either have to export it and deliver it and re-import it, or you have to render in place. Let me go back to the original clip and take you through the process. By the way, just a little plug, I do have a Speed Ramper plugin system. Let me show you how to create this speed ramp, which normally takes 2 or 3 minutes, in just a second or two. Let me just boom, boom, boom. I got a little drag and drop system going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just trim off the end. That's it. I just recreated this. It won't play until it has a second to render cache, but that's how I create my speed ramps. There'll be some information down below. It's called Speed Ramper, and if you want to invest a few dollars into your business, it will save you a lot of time and give you a much better curve. So that's what my speed ramp looks like. But back to the situation at hand, this clip, the one that I just speed ramped in front of you in 10 seconds, it went from an original speed clip to a very fast speed clip. When DaVinci looks at a clip for motion blur, it looks always at the original. DaVinci does not know that this is moving fast. DaVinci has no idea that I speed ramped it. DaVinci has no idea that this is not the original clip. It's always looking at the original. So what you want to do if you want to get the appropriate motion blur, actually, let's go ahead and add some motion blur. Let's go to the color page real quick. I'm going to grab this motion blur and drop it onto that node, and you can see nothing changed. I can change my settings to better. I can change this to 100%. Let's zoom in on those cars. It has no effect. Adding motion blur to a clip that's been sped up has zero effect because DaVinci does not know that it's a fast clip. So what you have to do is export it, or what I do is come up here and do the render in place. That's a whole nother conversation. You'll have to search the internet to get your correct settings for you and your camera and your storage and workflow. But I'm just going to hit render, and what that's going to do is it's going to bake all of my changes into this file. It's going to create a brand new file, and then it'll be a fast moving clip. Then I can add motion blur, and then DaVinci will automatically put the right amount of blur on it. And then we're going to do that for you right now. So as soon as this renders out, okay, I'm going to play it for you. You'll see once again, there's no motion blur here. So there's my speed ramp. Let's go to the middle. And sorry. It's moving so fast, I'm having a hard time stopping where I want to go. So there's those sharp cars. Let's go to the color page. Let's drag the motion blur onto that node, and then boom, you see it. There's all the motion blur being added. And once again, you can increase that by changing your settings. So motion blur, if you're not getting what you want in DaVinci Resolve, that's the reason. DaVinci is always looking for the original clip. Now, just a little bonus for you free users, you will not be able to find this motion blur node in your color. If you want motion blur as a free DaVinci user, you go to the Fusion page, and there are tutorials, and you're going to have to look at it. I'm not getting in depth here because that's not the purpose of this tutorial, but you hit Shift Spacebar, you add in optical flow, and then I hit Shift Spacebar again, and I add in vector motion blur. If you're not ready for Fusion, get ready for some confusion with Fusion. And it's very, very slow and very, very hard on your computer. So hard, in fact, that I'm not even going to try to play this because it takes several minutes for that to render out. But that's how you get motion blur. And once you have these nodes attached in Fusion, there are settings up here that you can adjust, both optical and vector, to add more. I can turn that scale up, and that will add more. You see that pop there just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just delete those because I don't even want my computer to freeze up while it's trying to play that stuff. So that's the best tip I can give you for motion blur. You'll see as I turn that top tip off, you want motion blur, you have to render in place or deliver and re-import, and you will get everything you want. No, DaVinci is not broken. It's just always looking at the original clip. Hope that helps. And if you want fast speed ramping, check out the link below.